for joining us on DezignWorks TV. This video is designed for new users of DezignWorks working with mesh data. So most of the time when a mesh is scanned, it's not at the proper origin where you, the end user, may want it. We're going to show you some tools in DezignWorks to align the mesh. So one of the simplest ways to do this is to use a tool called Align Mesh Origin. Select Align Mesh Origin. You'll notice a pop-up comes up, and here's our part. As you can see, the coordinate system is in some crazy position. The front here, we're going to talk about these icons, top, front, and right. These correlate to the views in SolidWorks. So what we're going to do is notice the colors. When you select on the color, the brush will change. You can also change the brush type from a square to a round by hitting the Q key. And also by hitting the F1 key, it tells you all the help buttons. So we're going to put it back, hit the Q key, put it back on a square. Now that's in green, it correlates to the SolidWorks top, which would be across the front. So we're going to zoom in with the mouse, or if you have a 3D connection device, you can simply like tap with the left mouse button and tell it this is the front. Come back up here. Make sure your part's not sitting over the icons, or you'll actually select on the part. So notice I moved the part from the icons. I'm going to say front. I'm going to say my front is going to be on this part down here. Remember, this is like identifying the SolidWorks front plane. And then for my right side, again, you could paint either over here or over here for the right. Our goal is to make the work coordinate system, this would be your front, your bottom, this would be X and Y. So by painting those like that, we can say align mesh. In a couple seconds, it's aligned. So now you have your X, Y, Z on this corner. Go ahead and select the checkbox. And if you go into SolidWorks now, after it writes it back, and you select the origin, you notice it's on this corner. In this example, we're going to show you how to build a coordinate system from created features with DezignWorks on a mesh. So this part here would be pretty difficult to align to. You can't use it like a corner or something. So we're going to go ahead and build features on it. We're going to use these two holes and the center hole to build a coordinate system. We're going to go into mesh features. And the first thing we're going to do is build a plane to constrain everything to. So I'm going to use the normal painting. I'm just going to left click on this face and say I want to build a plane. So there's our plane. The feature can be turned on or off. Now that we have the plane for a constraint, we're going to go ahead. You can see it here. It's visible here if you turn it on and off here. I'm going to go ahead and use those cylinders. So I'm going to go underneath them. Since I got on to show you how this works, I'm going to come in here, and you could paint these any way you want. If I use like normal, I'll turn this down a little bit, and you could paint around it like this, or you could use curvature. You do want to paint at least 180 degrees around it. So here we have that painted. That's selected as a constraint. Ensures this the cylinder we're going to build is perpendicular to the face. So it's on solid, and we're going to say let's build a cylinder. So DezignWorks is processing this. And new for DezignWorks 2022, a new dialog box will pop up and allow you to modify the feature if you need to. In this case, we're not going to modify it, but in some other videos you'll see where we modify this. You can move this around to wherever you want it. I'm going to accept it. Now I want to go ahead and do the same thing on this one. So I'm going to select this constraint. I'm going to stay with normal painting. Paint around this. Again, you do need to paint at least 180 degrees. And I'm going to say I want to build a cylinder. Again, the reason why you're doing this, picking the plane, it ensures it's perpendicular. And then we'll do this one more time for what we need to find the big circle there. So again, we'll come in here, define our constraint, left mouse clicking on here. It's defining it. You wouldn't want to define it by just a few little points. You wouldn't get a best fit. And we're on the constraint. Again, we'll just repeat. We want to do a cylinder. So now that we have that built, we're actually going to send it over to SolidWorks. Here's our geometry we're going to use for the coordinate system. We could turn the mesh off right now. We really don't need it. So we could do a show hide mesh. What we're going to do is come in here and build some geometry, because to use the coordinate system, it wants to know an X, Y, and an origin. So we're going to go in here and create a sketch on this face. We're simply going to draw a line, and it'll inference this. If you come up here, it'll inference. And if we go over here, notice it'll inference on the other cylinder. That's going to be our X. In this case, we want a Y that's perpendicular. We can simply use the SolidWorks line command again. So inference off that and rotate it up. It'll show us our 90 degree. These are some of the nice tools of SolidWorks. So see here, it shows this. We can go all the way up to 90. There's our actually 90 degrees. So now we have some geometry. This is going to be X, this will be our Y, and our origin is going to be on here. So we do need to do one more thing. We'll just, while we're in this sketch, we'll put a point. Go back into the sketch here. We should have done it while we're in there. Our origin is going to be right here. So we're going to use the point. So now we have some useful geometry here that we're going to use for a coordinate system. So you go to Features, Reference Geometry, create a coordinate system. It wants to know origin, X, and Y. So you could simply do this if you wanted to. What's the X? You could pick this line. What's the Y? Now you have your little Cartesian coordinate system, but it still doesn't know where we want 0. So we're going to say it's right here. So you can see X, Y, origin's there now, and you actually build it. So now that you have that coordinate system, we can turn the mesh back on, DezignWorks Scan. And it's probably best that you would save this right now, File Save. So you're going to say, I want to do a mesh transform. You would actually select which one it is, and you say from origin, which it's there, and say apply. Now that's been moved. So now you'll notice the geometry doesn't look correct because we moved the part. So you'll actually delete all the reference geometry off. In this case, we'll just hide it for you. You won't be using it. Or we can just hide it here. And we'll notice that the origin, if you go to the origin on SolidWorks now, there's your origin, the center of the part. Most people go ahead and actually will just delete all this because now it's been moved. So if you went to your front plane and went normal to it, you're going to see that's sitting on there, and the X is across there. If you check your origin coordinates of your coordinate system, everything's lined up. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.